A very warm welcome to you. It's indeed a pleasure to have you join us again on Almond Finance and Wealth Reports this week. As you know, we are source for latest happening information in the financial sector of the nation's economy. Many thanks also to our partner on this program, Standard Alliance Life Assurance Limited, for their continued support. My name is Faith Uwode. On this edition of the program, we'll kick off by bringing you the concluding part of the exclusive interview I had with Chief Dr. Dipo Bailey, a former commissioner for insurance and also a past president of the Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria. According to him, there's need for parents, guardians to encourage their children abroad to take professional examinations rather than lay emphasis on university education. Plus, we also bring you highlights of the NCC First Conference of African Telecom Regulators on Consumers Affairs that took place during the week at the Echo Hotel and Suites Victoria Island here in Lagos. The theme of the conference this year was harnessing regulatory policies to protect telecom consumers in Africa. As expected, delegates came from all over Africa, such as countries such as Rwanda, Kenya, Cameroon, Benin Republic, and Liberia. Plus, our regulars on the program, our Voice Pop segment, Waiting Insurance, They Do Safe, and Insurance Talk Celebrities Edition. I urge you as always to sit back, relax, and spend this time with us, but all the details are coming to you after this break. Please stay with us.
Are you satisfied with your insurance policy? Do you have issues with your claims payment? Do you want a better service delivery from the insurance industry? If yes, join other policyholders chat one-on-one with underwriters, insurance brokers, and insurance regulators on Friday, 25th October 2013 at the Function Room, Luzon Center by 10 a.m. for the Maiden Insurance Consumers Forum under the chairmanship of Sir Ogala Osoka, MFR, former Managing Director, Nigeria Re. This event is supported by the National Insurance Commission, NICOM, Nigerian Insurance Association, NIA, Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria, CIIN, and the Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers, NCRIB. For inquiries, call 01-776-3981, 0803-3357879, 0818-52-16318, or visit www.almondreport.com. See you there.
Alright, moving on straight to our exclusive interview with Chief Dr. Dipo Bailey, a former commissioner for insurance and a past president of the Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria. According to him, taking professional examination, especially by the youth, is a shorter way to getting a good job rather than waiting for university education. Oftentimes, your parents want you to go to university.
Yes.
That's where you have a guarantee of a better future.
Exactly. So they do that. I never went to university to start with. I could have gone. Going for the A level. The next level was to go to university. That's what I wanted to do in England. But I did not, I was not able to do so. I went into insurance because they gave me they were the first people to give me, the institute there, the letter for admission as an examination student. I applied simultaneously with ICANN. With their accountancy institute in the place. If they had come first, I'd have been a chartered accountant today. If they never came, I would have continued with my engineering. But what has engineering and accountancy done to anybody that insurance has not done for me? Accountants, lawyers, everybody that know me, they respect me. So what is it are we talking about? They believe, that after the professional qualification, and when we were in England, of course, there were a number of people who were with us at the Holborn College of Law, Languages and Commerce. Most of the successful judges today went to Holborn College, not university. Even though it was supposed to be an arm of the University of London, we were all together. I know them. We sat down together. They learned their law studies at Holborn College. I learned my own insurance at Holborn College, Department of Commerce, and that place. After that one, I went to LASU in 1995, well after my qualification in 69, and at an advanced age when my children were in the university getting ready to go. I went for a master's program into the university. So what one is saying is that, it all depends. You can start with a professional program and eventually go into the university. When you go into university, you do it easily. You get out, because of the many advantages that you now have on your hand. But many people today in Nigeria who are successful professionals in this country never started with university. Many of them are even thinking that have never been to university, and they are successful today. So the unfortunate part of it is that we need to change the orientation of our people.
Of our parents.
Of our parents particularly.
Because time is the parents.
It's the parents.
Say, I don't want to go to university. I want to do professional, let's say institute and the Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria, for example, or the CIB, and you look at it like,
what are you talking about?
Are you okay?
Are you okay? So we need there is a need to change that psyche of our parents. Let these people go for professional examination. I want to come to the issue of JAMB. JAMB will admit 1,500,000 and something students in a year to write their exams, preparatory to going to the university. University has never taken more than about 500,000 of them. So every year we have about 1 million of them left who cannot get into the university. Every year is a recurring decimal. The number is growing to an alarming rate. With 5 credits, they cannot go to sit JAMB if they don't have 5 credits, including English and Maths. 1 million, so many of them, 1.5, almost 2 million. These are the requirements for starting a professional study. 5 credits, English and Maths, even as a school certificate holder. You have that one, you start. If you are brilliant and you are serious, within 3 years you can become an associate, because the insurance institutes or the institutes, the professional institutes, including Chartered Insurance Institute, hold the exams twice in a year. No matter whatever the number of subjects, you break them into pieces, take one at a particular point in time. It is reckoned that within 3 years, if you are serious, 6 exams, you become an associate. Once you become an associate, my Director General of certain institutes, insurance, accountancy, banking and stockbroking, at a forum of career counseling that I organized some years ago, told the students at that time that if they qualified, job was waiting for them.
Which is
instantly. Which is the truth. Job was waiting for them. So you get a job, you don't belong to the guys roaming about the street looking for a job, even with your degree, with your MSc, with everything. At the end of the day, you are caught up with the fact that you are too old, even though you have upper class, first class, to get good jobs. You get a professional, you get a job with your professional qualification. You can stay there and start a career. Just then work very hard and get promoted. You can do your masters whilst you are working. If you still think that you are young, maybe you are 19 or 20 when you left secondary school, and in 3 years you are now 23 when you now become professional qualified. You still want to go to university. You go to university, you don't need JAMB anymore. Direct entry. And you start with 200 at the 200 level. In fact, the Institute of Bankers told me that they had a program at that time for those who have the associates to run their own program, masters in BSc banking and finance, for 2.5 years. So within 5 years, you have professional qualification, you have for your first degree. You can never be faulted in progress in your life anymore with a job. Whereas you go to university, like we all know, some students will tell you, sir, don't ask me when I'm coming out, I only know when I'll be there. Now we have been proved right. When is this strike going to be off? And by the time they now say you will now go back, they will rush the students because the next batch is waiting to resume. They will rush them to put them forward, and they become half-baked. So this is the problem we have. So we have this shortage, we have this kind of a thing. The parents will realize that the opportunities are there. We are wallowing in abject poverty when we are in the midst of plenty.
Okay, sir, moving on. You told me briefly about another project which I think is very laudable that you're also cooking up. about laying emphasis on professionalism.
Yes.
I want you to talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, that is an organization called Professional Excellence Foundation of Nigeria. Acronym PEFON. Professional Excellence Foundation of Nigeria. And what we are trying to do is to enhance professionalism in the country for greater economic development. The objectives are to, number one, to bring all the professionals in this country together under one umbrella of PEFON. We have the Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria. That's an umbrella body for the professional bodies.
Okay, that's APBN.
APBN.
Yes.
We are talking about a body for the individuals, not professional bodies.
Okay.
No matter whatever your discipline or professional area may be, bring them together under one umbrella. Number two, in different categories, associate fellows, distinguished fellows, and so on and so forth. Number two, those among them that have excelled in their professions, we want to be able to identify them and recognize them by giving them awards every year to say thank you, well done to you, and to encourage other ones to also excel and be recognized and be recognized and given the award. We are not only talking about the professionally qualified only. We are now under that number two, talking about those who refer to now as builders of professionals.
What does that mean?
Builders of professionals. These are individuals among us who are, even though they are not professionals, have succeeded to run organizations into the level where they are now employing several numbers of professionals. Mega organizations here and there. They may not be professionals, they may be professionals, but they have set up mega organizations, blue chip organizations that are now employing professionals in different disciplines where the professionals are also excelling and they are built up for excellence. Without necessarily advertising, I want to talk about the Dangote group. I want to talk about the group of Mike Adenuga. I want to talk about Tudek Honeywell. I want to talk about so many in the east, in the north. They may not be professionally qualified, but if they had not had that ingenious brain and vision to set up such organizations, some of these professionals would never be in jobs, and they will never be able to showcase their professionalism for them to excel.
I remember when I was a civil servant, I tried them, but unfortunately I'm totally disappointed. That's why if they come to me nowadays, I don't like to listen to them any longer. So that's the reason. Insurance in Nigeria, no, it's just a cost. It's a real cost to us in Nigeria here. It's a cost. So please, forget about insurance because they didn't help us in Nigeria here. It's only with the vehicle self. The vehicle I have, if I do it, I have any problem, they won't be able to solve it for me. They cannot solve it. So it's better to leave insurance and move to another area. In Nigeria, nothing is moving, nothing is workable.
All right, moving on straight, we bring you highlights of the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) first conference of African telecom regulators on consumer affairs that took place at the Eco Hotel and Suites, Victoria Island here in Lagos. The focus of the NCC and other regulators on the continent of Africa is to protect and promote the interests of telecom consumers. The Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC), in the discharge of its mandate, which is to protect and promote the interests of telecom consumers, and in a determined effort to synergize with other regulators in Africa, recently put together the first annual conference of African telecom regulators on consumers affairs at the Eco Hotel and Suites, Victoria Island here in Lagos. The theme of the conference was harnessing regulatory policies to protect telecom consumers in Africa. As expected, the conference drew delegates from other African countries such as Ghana, Rwanda, Liberia, Kenya, Benin Republic, and a host of others. Welcoming delegates to the conference, the chairman of the board of NCC, Engineer Peter Egbe Igor, noted that telecommunications have become paramount in our daily lives. As such, issues that affect consumers must be taken seriously.
This conference cannot come at a better time than this in view of the rapid transformation of the economy of African countries, and particularly Nigeria. I would like to emphasize the fact that telecom issues have become paramount in our daily lives, as we cannot afford not to take advantage of the revolution in the industry and what it presents to us. It is quite noticeable that since the deregulation of the industry in Nigeria, the telecom landscape has so much changed that everyone has become a stakeholder, one way or the other.
The central focus of the NCC is on how telecom consumers can get the best quality service from providers. Delivering the keynote address, the Executive Vice Chairman of NCC, Dr. Eugene Jua, who was ably represented by Mr. Okechukwu Itanyi, Executive Commissioner Stakeholder Management NCC, stated that most of the action taken thus far by the Commission is to protect telecom consumers.
The Nigerian Communications Act 2003 binds us to three primary stakeholders, namely the government, operators, and the consumers. Of the three, however, our position as regulators has always been that the consumer is king because he supplies the fuel that keeps the market in perpetual motion.
Leading the pack of goodwill messages was the representative of the chairman of Association of Licensed Telecoms Operators of Nigeria, Alton, Mr. Aremu Olajide, Mr. Elijah Omeyale, who stood in for ATCON chairman, and Honorable Abiodun Awoyele, who stood in for the chairman, House Committee on Telecommunications. Declaring the conference open, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Communication Technology, Dr. Henry Akpan, who stood in for the Honorable Minister, Mrs. Omobola Johnson, noted that there is no denying the fact that telecoms industry is the most dynamic on the continent of Africa today, as they are crucial to rapid economic growth and development.
There is no denying the fact that the telecoms industry remains one of the most vibrant and dynamic sectors globally, with new prospects and challenges. African countries should therefore have in place adequate regulatory framework and institutions that would efficiently put in place effective mechanisms to implement consumer-friendly policies. Regulators in the telecom industry should translate government policies in such a way as to positively advance the overall interest of the consumers and as such be agents of change. On this note, therefore, may I, on behalf of the Honourable Minister, formally declare open this first conference of African telecoms regulators on consumer affairs.
With the opening formalities over, delegates settled for serious deliberation on the conference papers. Leading the pack of paper presentation was Mr. Okechukwu Itanyi, Executive Commissioner Stakeholder Management NCC, who spoke on regulatory trends, challenges and potentials for growth. In his presentation, Mr. Itanyi highlighted some of the regulatory challenges faced by the NCC in Nigeria. He, however, noted that the singular most critical area of growth is broadband in terms of both infrastructure deployment and service rollout.
The singular most critical area of growth is therefore broadband in terms of both infrastructure deployment and service rollout. Different indices have shown that an increase in broadband penetration
can lead to a corresponding increase in GDP for any nation. Economic studies on broadband deployment in other economies have also shown that investment in high-capacity broadband networks yields many times the value of investment in increased jobs, transparency in government, reduction in cost of governance, access to information, social and cultural development. This is an area the NCC is addressing with the vigor it deserves.
Other speakers were Mr. Fosa Masagoni, General Manager, Consumers Affairs, Independent Communication Authority of South Africa, who spoke on regulation in the public interest, a Pan-Africa perspective. Presenting the paper on striking a balance between regulatory services and technology, a populist view, Mrs. Josephine Amoa, Director Legal and Regulatory Services, NCC. In her paper, Mrs. Amoa noted that there is need for regulators on the continent to cooperate, especially in the areas of licensing and international roaming.
Licensing across regions can be harmonized. There's no reason why somebody who has a license in Nigeria, for instance, with cooperation with the West African regulators, cannot go and open a shop or business in Ghana, in Gambia. You know, or regulators can harmonize, can agree within themselves how this can be done. But we also looked at the issue of international mobile roaming. We know that because of the expansion in mobile communication, movement across borders has increased. And so we find a situation where people take their phones into other countries and the prices they have to pay are not transparent. They come back home and they are hit with this high bill.
Other speakers were Mrs. Loila Emakbori, Director Policy, Competition and Economic Analysis, NCC, who spoke on promos, quality of service and the interests of consumer in a deregulated industry. Mrs. Alice Koech, Program Coordinator, African Telecoms Union, Kenya, spoke on harmonizing regulatory regimes in Africa. Last but not least of the speakers was Mr. Albert Enenenfu, Deputy Director General, National Communication Authority, Ghana, who spoke on how much regulation is too much. The roundtable discussion focused on how multiple regulation impacts telecom expansion and penetration. Discussants were Mr. Ephraim C. Wokonya, Head Compliance Monitoring, NCC, Mrs. Verwonde Kanavera, Director of Industry and Consumer Affairs, Rwanda Utilities Regulatory Authority, Ayaka Jingum Mando, Chief of Service for Evaluation, Telecommunications Regulatory Board, Cameroon, Angelique Weeks, Chairperson, Liberia Telecommunications Authority, and Adohosa Dedomo, Chief of Service of Consumers Telecom Regulatory Authority, Benin Republic. In her opinion, Angelique Weeks argued that having multiple regulators in the same sector can cause accidents.
You have multiple regulators in the same sector. It would be like having multiple police officers on a street corner. One police officer is saying come, and the other is saying stop. And if you have that, you're going to have accidents. So we would argue strongly against multiple regulators in the same sector because it will cause accidents.
The NCC no doubt scored an A putting this conference together, as participants agree that it could not have come at a better time than now. Consumer-related issues is the same across Africa. Issues such as consumer care and quality of service, monitoring compliances, promotions and lottery, dispute resolutions, and a host of others. While regulators and stakeholders are working to resolve some of these issues on the continent, governments across Africa must do more in the areas of policy formulation and implementation, as African mobile penetration still remains the lowest in the world.
The truth is, a simple thing, are you insured? Because with the economy of this country, as a man, a woman, a child, a boy or girl, I am not insured. How can you be sure? With this economy, my brother, insure yourself, because you never can tell. Even the Bible says it. I don't know if you quote, but the Bible says it. That's it. And who else has this message for you? My name is Buchi, Nigeria's finest comedian, and I endorse this message 100% and one. Yo, peace out.
Alright, that's the time on this edition of the program. I do hope you thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I always say here, for comments, questions, observations, do feel free to get in touch with us on 017763981 or 08033357879, or better still, send us an email, almond4xx@yahoo.com or almondproduction@gmail.com. You can also visit us on our website, www.almondreports.com. Many thanks to our partner on this program, Standard Alliance Life Assurance Limited, for their continued support. Do not forget also to join us every Wednesday by 9:45 a.m. live on Nigeria FM 102.7 for our Pidgin English program called Waiting Insurance, the DOSEF. Finally, the Maiden Insurance Consumers Forum is here. Join us on the 25th of October at the Function Room Muson Center here in Lagos for the Maiden Insurance Consumers Forum. As we have said on this program, there is a platform we've created to bring insuring public, underwriters, insurance regulators and insurance brokers together to chat one-on-one, to chart a new course for the insurance industry in terms of service delivery. My name is Faith Owode. Until same time, same station next week, where we'll come your way with a fresh package of this program from all of us here. Is goodbye.